nutrition. You need to start getting people into your classes. And then you're going to find out the amount that you want to charge. Think big, as we were talking yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yesterday. You can have dinners, you can have catering, a lot of really cool stuff you can do with this. All right. So how do you do BMR calculations? First off, we should know what BMR stands for. Anytime you use an acronym, know what it means. What does BMR stand for?
Basal metabolic rate.
I always spell it out because sometimes the way I speak, the way I talk, it can come off a little weird. So I want to make sure we're saying it properly. Basal metabolic rate. This is what your organism needs to maintain life. Brain takes in a lot of fuel. Grandmasters who play chess all day burn 6,000 plus calories per day. Isn't that nuts? Not doing shit, just playing a game. The brain is really, really powerful. Talking with Mel from last week, breastfeeding, you can be burning an extra 400 to 500 extra calories per day. Who's the individual? If it's that unique individual, I want them working with an RD, diabetes, type 1, type 2, metabolic disease, pulmonary disease, cardiac disease. Get them into the right hands. If that is not your clients, we can work with them. We can do a lot of this. So our liver needs fuel, our muscles need fuel, our skin needs fuel. It needs fuel to sustain itself. Now, 70% of the fuel that we consume goes here. Then we have 20% that will go to activity. 10% that goes to digestion. Now, this is called DIT or TEF, diet-induced thermogenesis / thermal effect of food. Different journals will use different words. Activity and non-activity, which is called NEAT. So this we don't change. This is just what it is. This is what we have an impact on. And who can tell me how I can, I mean, we're talking basic right now. Who can tell me how we can impact this one right here?
One, getting up and moving, getting steps in, cleaning the house, cutting the lawn.
Good.
Doing
You can tell that Helen's been doing this for a while, and obviously she's going to give great suggestions. But for some of those that are a little newer, keep it simple, but also specific. And that's really important because telling someone to move more is the equivalent of telling someone who's drowning to swim. So you hear people all the time say, eat, come on, obesity is fucking stupid. It's so easy to combat. You just got to eat organic, eat less, move more. That's it. And that's too simple. And that's not fair because people don't know how to do it. I want you guys to tell me, Gringo Chris, to learn Spanish better by just doing it more, reading the textbook more. I'm not going to comprehend the unique pronunciations of words just by reading it more. I need help. I need a tutor. I need somewhere to go. What's the best app to get? What's the best group to join? What's a meetup? I need direction. And that's what we do as coaches. So you find out how much your client's been moving, and then you can give little suggestions. When you go to work, park in the furthest parking spot. If you're on the 7th floor, see if you can walk up every single day. If you get a lunch break, go walk at lunch every day. That's where you can use the step rule, but be careful with steps. I love steps and I hate steps. And why do you think I hate steps? Anyone?
Because the watch is on your arm and not on your foot.
Good, I like that. That's a good one. What else? It's because of the generalized suggestion. What's the generalized suggestion?
Oh, the 10K.
10K. There's nothing wrong with it. But again, look at our nation being overweight to obese. Metabolic Mike, he's a guy on Instagram. Has some good stuff, has some shitty stuff. Dr. Nadolski has a lot of great stuff. And he did one just looking at longevity and lifespan. If you essentially you're getting 10,000 steps per day, the likelihood of you living significantly longer is a lot. But what about that person who's only getting 1,000 steps or getting 2,000 steps? Or what about the person who's getting 20,000 steps, but they're morbidly obese? So we need to educate people on movement. And so I want to find out how many steps you're getting And then how taxing is that on you from a stress standpoint, but also how does it make you feel? Then I'll give some techniques to get more. You're exactly right, Helen. I'm going to challenge you twice a week to wash your car, water your stuff. Go, instead of ordering in Uber Eats, walk to the restaurant. Those little things will add up over time. Now, activity is going to be specific to the workouts. And this is where I'm different, and I'm going to show you how I'm different. And then we have digestion and which macronutrient provides the greatest TEF.
Protein.
Protein. So 4 calories equals 1 gram of protein. Protein is unique because of the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, but it also has nitrogen as the structure. So it takes longer to break down. Just think of it like when you clean a plate. If you were to put some watermelon on a plate, you scarf it down. Afterwards, it's super simple to clean. That's like carbs. That's like fat. It doesn't tax the system that much. I think fat's the lowest at like 5%. Carbs are like 12%. But when you break down protein, it's like having butter on a pan with red meat or just any type of protein source. It's really sticky and it's hard to clean. You need detergent and it can be a mess. It just takes longer. And it's not like it's a mess on the system. Your body can do magnificent things, but it's just a little more taxing. So with that being said, if you have a client, look at this simple suggestion. So the average male American weighs 190 pounds. Average female weighs 169 pounds. Their dudes are getting roughly 2450 per day consumption. Ladies are roughly getting 1850. These are just general statistics that they've come across. Obviously, it's going to be different for some people who are bigger, some people who are smaller, and so forth. These are just generalized data points that I'm going off of. People are unique. I always want to find out what they're consuming. So if you had 2 males, both consuming, actually work with females, make it easier. 2 females that are both consuming 2,000 calories. 1,000, 2,000. Both would be in a surplus. Both would be gaining fat monthly and yearly. So for the individual on the left side, who's getting 10% of her diet in protein. So what you'll do is 10% of 2,000, what is that?
200.
200.
Good. 200 calories. How many grams is that?
It's 200 divided by 4, which would be, what's that? Oh.
50.
There you go. 50 grams. I love doing, like, I was never great with advanced math, but I think the more you do these, you're going to get a lot better. So it's kind of fun. So if you have someone getting 30% here, how many calories is that?
600.
And then how many grams?
150.
Again, so I'm not saying that all females should be getting 150 grams of protein. Take this with a grain of salt. But your TEF, total calories right here, is you're going to be burning 10% of those calories, 20 calories. Over here, 60 calories. Doesn't sound like a lot. It's a 40 calorie difference. But if you were to do that for a year, 40 times 365, that's 14,600. Divide that by 3,500. And why am I dividing it by 3,500?
Because 3,500 is 1 pound of fat.
Good. It gives you 4.1. So you could have 2 people eating the same amount of calories. And the only suggestion that you make is eat more protein with one of them. Over the course of a year, that person will lose an extra 4 pounds of fat. That's pretty powerful, don't you think? Where you don't have to change anything. Literally, you eat the same amount. And you're probably going to be, not probably, you'll be more full. You're not going to be as hungry because protein is more satiating than the other ones. Calories equated. That's why people will call protein the magical macronutrient. It's not bad for your kidneys unless what? Protein is not bad for your kidneys unless you have kidney disease. You're working with an RD, you're working with a doctor. Protein is great. I suggest to educate your clients behind lean proteins, which just mean it has lower calories. 1 gram of 99% turkey meat is going to have maybe 120 calories, whereas 80% red meat may have 290 or 300. Same amount of protein, a lot more fat. Obviously, the fat tastes better, but those are things to consider. So I want you to look at, so how I do a calculation, I keep it super simple. I do not like calculators online. I like to show my clients that I can do this with my own head because I'm not an RD. This calculation that I'm showing you today isn't 100% accurate. Just like a lot of the body fat testing stuff out there isn't that accurate. If you really want to get into the laboratory stuff, do a bod pod, do the hydrostatic. And that's something that Mel even said last week. It's a general guesstimation. The best way to really find out how many calories my clients are consuming, a food log with photos. That is absolutely hands down the best way. So if I'm 200 pounds, I'm going to take 10 because I'll do 10 for dudes, 9 for girls. That's 2,000 calories. If I want to lose weight, you need to be in a deficit. You choose. The closer you, not closer, the greater the deficit, the more hunger gets involved. And hunger is like feeding a gremlin past 12 o'clock. I don't like how my clients respond to hunger, especially when they're at home and it's late and they're really stressed out. So usually what I'll do is if this was a client I was working with, I'll say, just eat 2,000. Don't worry about creating a deficit on non-workout days. Now on workout days, you take that same number, that's your BMR, 2,000, and you times it by a multiplier. And there's sites out there that will have different ones pretty much across the board. You're going to see this. Sedentary 1.375 is low activity, and then 1.55 equals moderate, 1.725 equals intense, and then 1.9 plus, let's say athlete, or they'll say double days. I hate this. I absolutely hate the multipliers because the coaches don't do them themselves. Clients will do it. And when you have a client who it's a 200-pound bro who used to play football and he was the state champion, but now it's 25 years later and he walks twice a week. In his mind, he's saying, fuck that. I don't do low activity. My work's hard. I'm an athlete. So he gives himself a multiplier of 1.9. So he goes 2,000 times it by 1.9, 3,800, create a little bit of a deficit. I'm going to go 3,500. So you have a client who's eating 3,500 calories, training twice a week, and they're like, I don't know why I'm gaining weight. Yeah, because you're eating like you were when you were in high school playing football. You don't get to do that anymore. I know it's because my metabolism slowed down. No, it's not. It's because you don't move and you eat the same that you did in high school. So here's output back in the day. Here's input. But now, 25 years later, input's the same, output's none. And on top of that, sleep is fucked up. Stress is high. It makes sense. It's not your metabolism. Stop blaming the metabolism. Metabolism is like insulin and cortisol, in my opinion. It's just picked on. I don't know why we're picking on poor metabolism. Sure, there is evidence, just life. You will go through a process where you're going to lose some muscle due to lower levels of testosterone. That's just called life. It's not nearly as much as the internet says that you're going to be dropping off all these pounds of muscle. So if I was training myself, the multiplier I would give 1.375. And this is what I do for myself. On days that I don't eat or don't work out, 2,000 calories, but I work out every day. And so then my multiplier, 1.37, times that by 1.375, 2,750. So I aim for between 2,500 and 2,700 calories. And that's what Chris Hitchko consumes calorie-wise. If there's going to be a big drinking day, sports on, whatever, I try to fast in the morning. Today, after a workout, because I was watching a lot of basketball the weekend, I'll make up for some of those calories by just having a protein shake until dinner. So I'll have a lot of coffee, which is a caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant. Cortisol will keep you, cortisol typically doesn't make you hungry. So when you release, and not like in crazy stressful situations. So like just working and having coffee, you release a good amount of cortisol, which is fine. Cortisol is not bad. It's just, it is what it is. And then I'll get most of my calories at night. This works for me. I don't give a shit about you. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying it as I need to focus on what works for me. Now, for a client, you need to focus on them and let them know that you're not going to eat 2,700 calories. This is for me. I work out hard and I give myself a 1.375. So what do? You're not a 1.9. I'm sorry. Unless you're a D1 athlete, a professional athlete, you're not a 1.9. You're not a 1.725 either. Rarely do I give 1.55. I tell all my clients, we start here, you earn the higher intensities. Start at 1.375. Now I'll give you 1.2 because we don't have a problem with under eating. We have a nation that has a very hard discipline of understanding what calories are. I will explain to you what calories are. I'll tell you the law of thermodynamics. I will educate you on what calories are. They're not bad. They just are what they are. It's like saying a bench press is bad. No, it's just an exercise. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, don't. There's other things that we can do. There's foods that are better for you. Sure, pomegranates. They're really, really good for you. High in antioxidants, phytochemicals, awesome. But they're fucking hard. You know how hard it is to eat a freaking pomegranate? Even if you do the wood trick, you cut that sucker and you get a wood spoon, you smack it, there's shit all over your shirt. It's like, oh, that pomegranate just took 19 minutes to make. So I understand that if you want to have a banana, that's all right. But encourage your clients, part of your nutritional consulting, that, all right, so this week we're going to go around and I want everyone to name a fruit. So we'll start off with Keith. Name a fruit.
Apple.
Apple. Helen.
Raspberries.
Desi.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. All right. So in our story this week, part of our nutrition team, these consultations, whoever posts the most in their story, pineapple's worth 1, raspberries worth 1, and apple's worth 1. Whoever posts the most gets a special gift next week. And you got to show up next week to find out what it is. And give someone a $25 gift card to Starbucks. Give them wine if they like wine, if they like pineapple, whatever. Give them a fruit basket. There you go. That's creative. And now you're making it fun. It's like, you know what? This wasn't that bad. I ate more fruit. I don't eat a lot of pineapple. And now because of this challenge, I had more pineapple. I liked it. Raspberries, I always go with blueberries. I like the challenge of getting more raspberries. That was fun. So now there's a focus. Eat more fruits and vegetables. It's terrible advice. And who gives you that advice? Show Up Fitness. We're smart though. And you guys can give specifics. So the next week, I'm going to challenge you to give up grains. No bread, no pasta, no rice. You have to focus on lean proteins and fruits and vegetables. Every story post that you do with your protein source and either a vegetable or fruit, you get 1 point. Whoever gets the most points by the end of the week, you get a little prize. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking that money that I got from the, say I'm getting $1,000 per month. I'm taking 100 of it. I'm taking 200. I'm investing back into my clients to make it fun. Because what do you think is going to happen to your clients if all of them take out grains for a week? What do you think is going to happen?
They're going to notice a difference.
How?
They're gonna have a calorie. They're gonna lower the amount of calories that they intake, and they're
Beautiful.
gonna be.
If you have a nation that's consuming 50% of our diet plus in carbohydrates, grains specifically with rice, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what you're doing is you're educating them that, all right, Keith, last week you were 169. This week you're 166. How cool is that? You lost 3 pounds, and it was because we made a small adjustment. This week we're going to focus on A, B, C, or D. What's Keith's folly? Is it drinking? I'm going to challenge you to give up. You choose hard alcohol, wine, or beer. Which one do you want to give up for 1 week? Put the power into your clients' hands. Don't tell them. That's what pisses me off with coaches today, is they say things like, got to give up sugar, got to give up alcohol, got to give up this, got to give up that. No, challenge. 1 week. if you don't think you can choose some different fruits for 1 week, this lifestyle is going to be really hard for you. And that's okay, to each their own. But this relationship probably not going to work if you're going to be stubborn on everything. I'm not talking about food allergies. I'm not talking about people who have peanut allergies to start eating almonds. No, maybe you have an almond or a nut one. It's like, that's where you can have fun, but you always, when you get into like allergies, you got to be careful. You got to make sure, you know, to have your clients sign some type of waiver when you get into trying stuff, because you don't want to play around with allergies. So there is that legality aspect that you always want to make sure that you're covering your ass. So now you know how to do basic calculations. A guy is a 10, girls are 9. Girls are typically smaller than guys. I don't like to just give blanket calorie suggestions if I don't know how many calories your clients are consuming. If I don't have a food log and photos and my client tells me they're getting 2,000 calories, and actually it's getting maybe 3,000 calories, and then I tell them to go on 1,500, that deficit of 1,500 calories is not going to be sustainable. So I'm setting the relationship up really poorly, because the likelihood of that individual going out there and binging, having foods behind my back and not telling me because they think I'm an asshole is going to be greater. What are some questions you have about